Hi everyone. I'm Laura Dormer from the Evidence Base. Angela and Chris, thank you for joining us and speaking with us today. To start with, could you briefly introduce yourself and your roles at the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation?
Sure, happy to. I can go first. Hi everyone, I'm Angela Dobes. I'm the Senior Vice President of IBD Plexus at the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. My work focuses on transforming inflammatory bowel disease research through data-driven strategies and patient-centered collaboration. I lead our research accelerator called IBD Plexus, a real-world evidence platform and biorepository. We're responsible for the overall success and growth of the program. And really, my work is driven by my deep passion for making sure medical innovations are patient-centered, and I'm really excited to be here.
And my name is Chris Fidyk. I lead our work with corporate partners at the foundation, including those who work with us in clinical trial and research capacities, as well as those who support our education activities and our other mission work across the country.
So to start us off, Angela, could you tell us a bit more about IBD Plexus and how it integrates clinical, molecular and patient-reported data into a unified resource?
Sure. So IBD Plexus is the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation's research accelerator. It really brings together the most comprehensive collection of IBD patient data and biosamples. It's built on this kind of straightforward but powerful idea. By sharing IBD data with scientists worldwide, we can really speed up research, inspire new discoveries, and improve outcomes for patients. Today, hundreds of researchers from academia and pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies are leveraging Plexus's unique data and scientific expertise from the foundation to really drive innovation in IBD research. And so by streamlining research and offering this deep scientific know-how, Plexus is helping to speed up development of new treatments, tailor precision medicine strategies, and move closer to finding cures. And what makes Plexus really stand out is its ability to combine and unite all this critical information, clinical data, molecular data, and patient-reported outcomes experiences to one unified resource, right? This is especially important because IBD is a complex chronic disease affecting 1 in every 100 people in the US. And so to truly personalize care, we need a comprehensive approach that links, again, this molecular and clinical findings to outcomes that matter most to patients. So I'll just quickly kind of break down the different data types and how they come together. So first, starting with clinical data, right? This includes the more traditional real-world data that you can find in electronic health records, such as diagnosis, treatments, laboratory results, and medical notes. But it also includes clinician-reported measures like disease activity and disease behavior. And so collectively, this data provides a really detailed understanding of how IBD is managed in real-world settings, reflecting clinician practices and healthcare utilization. It really also enables generation of real-world evidence to assist long-term understanding of treatment efficacy and safety. And importantly, it really helps researchers understand patients who may not have qualified for clinical trials and how these treatment works, such as patients with comorbidities and other complexities. Next, molecular data. So through access to information such as pathology images and biosamples like blood, stool, and intestinal tissue, researchers can derive data. So genetics, transcriptomics, proteomics, microbiome, and other omics and molecular markers. And this is really crucial for accelerating precision medicine and really identifying treatments that work best for each individual patient based off of their unique biology. And then importantly, patient-reported data. So Plexus really values the lived experience of patients. When it comes to chronic diseases, really patients are experts in their own IBD journey. And so by gathering firsthand insights from patients regarding their symptoms, quality of life, and things like stopping of a medication, and everyday challenges, we really ensure that the research and care strategies adopt a holistic understanding and a perspective that extends beyond these clinical care settings and even the gut, to really help anchor the realities of living with IBD when it comes to generating research. And so while clinical and molecular and patient-reported data are all really critical pieces of this puzzle, when you look at them in isolation, you kind of miss the bigger picture. And again, that's why from the very, very beginning, we built a platform that unites rich longitudinal streams of data to really help connect dots between clinical findings, molecular profiles, and patient outcomes. And then thanks to the ongoing involvement from our patients and our research community, our data remains robust, current, and continuously expanding.
Why was it so important to make patient engagement a core part of IBD Plexus, and how has that shaped the data that you collect?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So when we talk about advancing IBD research and care, there's one principle that really stands above all others, and it's really this fact that we believe that true progress happens when we work alongside patients, not just like for them, right? So like healthcare innovations, no matter how scientifically sound, will fall short if they're developed in a vacuum without input and co-design from patients who actually live, every day with the disease. And so, right, if patient engagement is treated more like a checkbox, it's going to fail. So for IBD Plexus, one of the reasons why patient engagement is just a core principle is we know that the data that's going to be collected is going to advance the future of care, right? So each data point that we get it's really important that we understand the outcomes that matter to patients so we can better research that. In addition, through our patient advocacy committees, we are also co-designing research with patients and ensuring that, again, patients aren't just seen as like these data points, but they're really partners in shaping the future of care. We also, when we think traditionally about data sets that you can access, right? Most healthcare data comes from clinical visits or medical records, which only captures this narrow snapshot of a patient's experience. And so through Plexus, patients are actively contributing data, they're consenting to contribute their own health data, reporting symptoms, again, like flares and other quality of life measures. So this is really helping us better understand, again, this real world lived experience and filling these critical data gaps that give researchers a much more richer and more accurate understanding of what it means to live with IBD. And I'll just give you a quick example. It's been really great to see Plexus drive advancements when it comes to better understanding, patient-reported outcomes. For example, IBD Plexus data contributed to a landmark study that describes the prevalence and underlying factors of fecal urgency. This research not only deepens our understanding of patients' experiences, but also really exemplifies how IBD Plexus is helping tailor treatments to what truly matters to each individual.
So IBD Plexus is designed to help drive precision medicine in IBD. So what type of research questions are best suited to using the IBD Plexus data? And have you got any examples there you can share where data has had a significant impact on research or clinical understanding?
Yeah. So generally, IBD Plexus currently is the only real-world evidence solution really addressing the entire research and development continuum and product life cycle for IBD. Right today, Plexus is helping facilitate scientific discovery research, improvements in clinical care, and everywhere in between. But I'm especially glad you asked about precision medicine, because not only have we been able to see some early success in this area, but it's also where I believe patient organizations can really play a transformative role, right? When you think about precision medicine, it's not only complex biologically, but it really requires addressing hurdles posed by policy, regulation, healthcare access frameworks. And so we're achieving the promise of precision medicine, and again, moving beyond today's like disease classification system really demands collaboration. And then just to give you a little bit of an understanding of IBD, so Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis are highly heterogeneous, they're complex, and again, making them ideal candidates for precision medicine. Yet most, when we think about the therapies that are available in the market today, most of them are broadly approved for moderate to severe disease. And so this population approach means that treatments are not tailored to the unique biology of specific patients and priorities. And as a result, many patients end up cycling through multiple therapies. And for those patients that may not, or that have an atypical disease or comorbidities, they often aren't included in clinical trials, and hence, by extension, not always receiving the full benefits of these new innovations. And so because of this underlying biology, it's complex again. Interplay between genome, exposome, immunome, microbiome, right? We got to get beyond these, not only these scientific challenges, but these some systematic barriers, right? Our healthcare and regulatory systems were originally designed to, understand the overall, to advance population health from a safety and efficacy perspective. And so policies, clinical trial designs, and approval pathways have traditionally really prioritized broad applicability over these targeted, more precision medicine approaches. And so we built IBD Plexus from a purpose perspective to really try to overcome these barriers, right? Not only do we integrate, the comprehensive longitudinal data from diverse real-world patients, but we also are learning from those patients that aren't often included in clinical trials, right? Some of the questions that, researchers can answer are things like, which patients are most likely to respond to a certain therapy or combination of therapies, what molecular or clinical features predict disease progression or complications, and how can we start to really think through identifying and validating biomarkers for patient stratification and or clinical trial enrichment. And so just to make things a little more tangible, I'll share two examples of how we're advancing in this area. So first, let me talk about drug discovery. Abdominal pain is one of the most challenging symptoms in IBD. It's not always correlated with disease activity. It's pretty much poorly understood right now. And so researchers at Johns Hopkins University are actively working to address this unmet need. And so essentially they were able to integrate intestinal biopsy transcriptomics with clinical data, where they were able to find and identify a promising new therapeutic target. And then leveraging IBD Plexus data, they found a specific patient subpopulations where the gene is highly active, right? Paving the way for treatments that address both pain and inflammation. And then to give an example in the more of the biomarker arena, a group of researchers at Harvard leveraged Plexus to tackle a common problem in ulcerative colitis. Specifically, why do this group of drugs called 5-ASAs, which are also the most commonly prescribed first-line therapeutic for UC. Why do 5-ASAs sometimes not work in patients? And so by combining Plexus's sequencing data with longitudinal clinical records, they were able to validate a microbiome-derived enzymes that are able to inactivate 5-ASAs in certain patients. And so what this means is this insight helps clinicians and can help them in the future predict before anyone even starts the treatment, which patients would benefit from these standard therapies and which need to go directly to a more advanced treatment.
Looking ahead, how will IBD Plexus maximize the potential of emerging technologies such as AI and machine learning to unlock new insights and accelerate breakthroughs in IBD research and patient care?
So when we think about, I guess, modern medicine in general, right, we're going through a period of rapid innovation, but chronic diseases like IBD still present some complex challenges, right? Rising costs, fragmented care, the slow translation of research findings into clinical practice. So Plexus really began tackling this by putting patients directly in the center of innovation. But now, we've been collecting data for, almost 10 years. And now with a substantial amount of data housed within Plexus, we're really beginning to be able to harness emerging technologies, specifically artificial intelligence, to go further faster, right? By bringing together multimodal data and applying AI, we're really excited about opportunities to do things like detect hidden patterns, predict disease progression, and advance personalized treatments. I'll just give a quick example of a partnership that's helping us move this forward. For example, by working with a company called PathAI, we're helping researchers advance their understanding of ulcerative colitis at the microscopic level, right? By combining digitized pathology tissues with PathAI's AI-powered IBD Explore tool, we can identify and quantify diverse cell types in tissue samples. And so really helping us uncover more subtle patterns in the microenvironment. And this opens up doors for things such as identifying disease subtypes, understanding what drives remission, and discovering novel biomarkers. And then as we think about, generally emerging tech and the art of possible, I think one of the things that I'm really excited about is how unique, high quality, and comprehensive data is going to become increasingly more valuable in a world where AI can process it more efficiently, right? The smartest algorithms are only as good as the data behind those algorithms. And so that's, why Plexus is so powerful in when we think about the emerging technology right now, is it's going to help link this biological data directly to outcomes, again, that matter most to patients, things like avoiding surgery, to, again, ensure that patient innovation is truly patient-centered and, we maximize the impact of it. And then just, I think I'd be miss if I didn't say this. So of course, innovation often moves faster than policy and regulation. And so the complexity of drug development means stakeholders, right, sometimes have different priorities or things go slower than we want. But I believe that technology can really help bridge these divides, right? The evolution isn't about lowering standards. It's about how modernizing evidence generation, in particular, as we align it to needs and technology advancements. And so really exciting about what's to come.
And Chris, can you speak to the partners that you're engaging with to support this work, and what do future partnership potential look like?
Sure. So I think overall, we're trying to assemble a very complementary group of partners to support the work that the biotech and pharmaceutical companies who utilize IBD Plexus are able to do with the data that we're collecting through IBD Plexus. And Angela mentioned an example of this with a digital histology company called PathAI. There's a number of other companies that we've either already implemented partnerships with or are in the process of putting partnerships in place to help offer to our industry members in IBD Plexus a ready-to-roll ecosystem of vetted partners that can bring complementary capabilities to anything from genomics analysis to having different artificial intelligence capabilities available that we've vetted, to maybe even moving into spatial transcriptomics, which is a very exciting new area of research, not only in IBD, but more broadly. And the way I think about this is that it kind of moves IBD Plexus from being a data mart in a biobank to being sort of a full stack solution. And if you're a pharmaceutical company with a preferred relationship with a particular company, you're more than welcome to work with that particular company. We don't restrict that. But if you don't have a solution provider in mind or in a preferred vendor relationship already, and you're open to who we think might be best of breed, we're preparing to be able to bring an ecosystem or network of partners forward for our industry members to choose from and to work with. And we're finding that to be a very welcomed development from our industry members. Even again, if they have preferred relationships already, for them to know that we've invested the time to implement partnerships with companies that we think bring value to IBD Plexus. It's a differentiator from other companies that may offer data products either in the immunology space or just more broadly, who sort of stop short of providing solutions and really just provide data. And I think everyone's familiar with very large data lakes of EHR and claims data that just sort of sit out in the cloud, and you can subscribe to it, and then you have to wrangle it and you have to figure out how to interrogate it. And it may take you months to just get to some basic answers. Whereas if you were working with a partner that is familiar and fluent with IBD Plexus data, they might be able to dramatically accelerate that time to knowing, that time to insight. And in this industry, as we all know, time is the most important vector that we have to influence, not only for the potential of commercialization, but for patients who don't have the luxury of waiting extra months or years for things to be discovered. So in a sense, this kind of all ties back to our putting patients first strategy of trying to accelerate research discoveries through IBD Plexus with data, but also with vetted partners that we think are best of breed.
And my final question is to both of you. So if you could perhaps fast forward 5 to 10 years from now, what impact would you most hope that IBD Plexus has had on patient care and outcomes?
Angela, go for it.
Sure, yeah. So Chris kind of talked about some of our evolution, right? And moving towards a way, an environment that we can best partner with other organizations to go further faster, right? Urgency is always top of mind. So, I first want to hit on this idea of like in the next 5 to 10 years, right? IBD Plexus is going to be more than just a database, more than just a platform, right? A dynamic, expanding community, united in tackling complex challenges that not one organization go off and solve on their own, right? IBD Plexus thrives because of its technological foundation, but because it recognizes that progress in science is inseparable from this art of collaboration and the power of the community. And so it's really balancing this art and science that's going to, I believe, enable transformative patient impact. And so here's my list. Okay, so in the next first 5 to 10 years, I think IBD Plexus is going to really harness this power of advanced AI, similar to models like GPT, but trained specifically on multimodal data to really better understand the complexities of IBD, right? So by integrating this clinical, molecular, patient-reported data, AI tools are going to be able to facilitate seeing patterns and early warning signs like treatment failures, things like fibrosis, even subclinical disease that we just couldn't simply cannot, detect today, and be able to identify earlier, more precise interventions, including something that's very, very important to the foundation, prevention. Second, IBD Plexus is going to help close the evidence gap through our pragmatic research design, right? You hear stats like it takes 17 years for new research to reach the clinic, and like these delays, patients can't afford. And so by leveraging real world evidence and connecting, right, data across clinics and labs and even patients' homes, Plexus will accelerate the translation of insights into practice. Third, Plexus is going to really redefine what it means to deliver on integrated, whole person, patient-centered care, right? IBD is more than just a gut disease. It affects the entire person, including extraintestinal manifestation, comorbidities. And so by integrating diverse data, including, again, patient experiences, Plexus has facilitated scaling of integrated care strategies to, again, really look at this full spectrum of a patient's health beyond the gut. And then finally, I really believe that Plexus is going to continue to elevate the patient voice, right? When patients and caregivers are well informed about their health, it improves the quality of care received. And so as we look towards the next 5 to 10 years, IBD Plexus data has informed the build of advanced tools such as, right, large language models that excel at understanding unstructured data that you can find in patient narratives, in patient feedback, and hence enables care to be better tailored to closely match the individual's unique needs and priorities. And these tools really are going to help generate personalized insights and, importantly, empower both patients and caregivers to advocate for the care that best fits their needs.
So everything Angela said, and then I'll add maybe one, maybe two more aspirations. Well, one I would say would be, and this ties directly to our 10-year vision at the foundation, we hope or expect to begin to see curative agents entering trials within 10 years. And this is a paradigm shift for the industry that is, largely invested in developing therapeutics that help mediate and maintain disease or perhaps prevent further progression, but don't necessarily cure it. There's very few true evidences of cures. We've all seen the amazing advances in HIV and Hep C, for example, over the last couple of decades. We would like to see the beginnings of a path to cures in IBD. And I'd like to see the companies that we work with who are leveraging IBD Plexus to start seeking cures through their work with us. That's one kind of big, lofty aspiration. And I think in order for those therapies to start entering early stage trials in 10 years, the discovery and early stage R&D work needs to start in the next 3 to 5 years to enable that future. And then maybe the one other thing, as someone who thinks a lot about sustainability in my role at the foundation, I'd like to see Plexus, IBD Plexus, become a truly sustainable platform for the long term. We expend an enormous amount of resources in developing the platform and in furthering and enriching it every year. And to keep that growth in value continuing for those who access it, be they in academia or in the industry, I would love to see and find a path for having Plexus be kind of an evergreen solution for the IBD drug discovery and development ecosystem.
So thank you. So it just remains for me to thank you both. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Chris, for joining us today and for talking to us about IBD Plexus. It's been really fascinating to learn more about it. So thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.